Hey guys, welcome to our Wednesday, Thursday video for week 2 of December curriculum. Excited to teach you guys today. Before we get going, I want you to start off with some warm-ups, getting your body moving, jumping jacks, push-ups, sit-ups, front-ups, getting that nice stretch in your leg, and then finishing up with a 30 seconds of vigorous exercise like jogging with high knees or mountain climbers, or you could do more jumping jacks, something to get your heart rate going. Ready, set, go. All right, so today we're gonna start off each day. I want you to practice your 5 strikes kata at least 3 times, maybe even 5 times if you're struggling with it. So each day in class, we're gonna be spending a few minutes on it. So I want you to also spend time going through your 5 strikes kata really quick. The review is thrust, under, over, step, under, over. All right, so I want you to go through that a few times and then we'll get going. Ready, set, go. All right, today we're going to review our rear elbow strikes. Remembering, what's the first thing you need to do anytime you're striking behind you is look. All right, whether that's over your left shoulder or your right shoulder, it's only moving your head just enough to look. It's not turning all the way to look, right? Because after we look and realize in that split second that we need to throw rear elbow, next thing that comes up is that Dracula cape and your other hand to cover, and then you twist from there, right? So what happens, let's say I'm facing this way and I turn all the way like this to look behind me. Well, now when I bring up Dracula cape, I'm already past my target, right? So that's why it's really important for you to get in the habit of just turning your head enough to see out of the corner of one eye to see what is behind you there, and then go for it, okay? So the drill that we use to practice that is a fun little drill where someone has a mitt, okay, or even a pillow, or it could be even their open hand, right? But the idea is they tap on one of your shoulders. Whichever shoulder you feel the tap on, that's the one that you turn your head towards to look behind you. When you look behind you, if you see the mitt or pillow or hand, whatever they're using there behind you, then you go for it. No! Turn all the way around and face them and then reset. Right? When you look over your shoulder, after you feel that tap, look. If one of those things is not there, then you don't need to do the elbow strike, right? The whole point is practicing looking and then deciding as fast as you can that you need to do that elbow strike, but also paying attention to what you see so that you don't strike if you don't need to, okay? So that's the drill, is practicing looking. So if your helper or partner or parent who's working with you, just take turn, alternate which side you tap on, but don't always go right, then left, then right, then it gets a little predictable. But also alternate whether or not you leave the target up there or not. That forces them to look and decide if they need to go or not. All right, so just again, quick reminder, if you look over your left shoulder, then it's the left arm that comes up in the Dracula cape. Other hand comes up to cover. Twist around. And then turn around all the way and face your partner. I don't want you to just, or face the target. I don't want you to just go elbow and then come back around. That's a horrible habit because you just elbowed them in the face and then you're going to turn your back to them. That's a real bad idea, right? So if I'm facing this way, I look over my shoulder, strike, and then I'm going to come all the way around and face them to be ready for whatever might happen next. So, helpers, whoever is helping you with it, make sure that every time they do their elbow strike, they turn all the way around to face you with their hands up in their ready stance to be ready for whatever may come next. All right, so practicing those rear elbows, practicing looking first, and deciding if you need to do the elbow strike. And the more comfortable you get, the idea is that as soon as you look, you know if you need to go, right? We want to try and speed up that reaction time a little bit. okay? But also make sure that we're seeing it first, all right? So spend about a minute or two doing that drill of knowing when to strike and when not to strike, and then trying to increase that reaction time when you do need to strike, all right? Ready, set, go. All right, guys, next thing we're gonna go over today is putting together that pivot rising front kick and then going into the knee strikes, all right? So quick reminder, pivot means kicking with the back leg. So in your ready stance with your right side back, you're going to take that back leg. Remember, there's no chamber. This is not the kick with 4 parts that we did last month. That's just the pivot front kick. This is rising, pivot rising front kick. Rising meaning the leg just comes up, okay? Instead of the chamber kick out, right? Remember, our target is the groin. We are kicking in the privates. This is a serious, can be a life-altering injury for someone when you use this. So make sure that you use this kick when you are in danger, not when you're angry or upset, but when you are in danger, when you are afraid for your life, and when you need to do whatever it takes to get away from this person, okay? So in that ready stance, your back leg is going to swing up. No! All right, and if you kick so hard that you can't swing your leg back, you got to land forward, that is okay. All right, in fact, that's ideal. But I know not everybody kicks that way. There's in a lot of martial arts, they kick and then bring it back, so that's okay. I will accept both ways, all right? My Krav Maga style does encourage landing forward, but I know that in the Chi Tudo, they do also, they're okay with the swinging back and putting it back in place. So either way, I want you to do 5 as hard as you can, pivot rising front kicks on each leg, using that nice loud voice every time. No! When you get to 5, switch your feet, and now your other leg is back doing the same thing. No! All right? Then I want you to practice 5 knee strikes, right? So remember, the knee strike comes after you've kicked them, they bend over, you grab on, and those knee strikes are going to the face, all right? But keep in mind that when you are practicing knee strikes, if you have a partner who's holding a bag for you, do not aim for the face, aim for the bag, but you do need to just remember, knee strikes do go to the face, right? As a small kid, your best bet might be to grab the back of their head to pull into the knee strike, especially if they just kind of bend over straight at you, all right? If they kind of go off to the side, that's when you can grab onto the, you can still grab the head. I think for kids, that's gonna be the most effective way to get the most power out of that knee strike. But again, in the moment, you just gotta grab onto something and pull those knee strikes in, all right? So I want you to do 5 knee strikes where you're reaching out, grabbing on, no! And then you gotta set it way back. Remember, do not just tap the floor, and especially do not swing your leg in the air, right? You've gotta set your foot all the way down and way back so that you can get your full body's power in there and drive the knee in and then set it way back. So you're going to do 5 of those on each side, setting it way back between each one. Ready, set, go. Now you're going to put these together. Ideally, if you have a helper at home, whether it's with hand pad that you can hand out and they can kick it, and then you bend over and hold that pad out, make sure they grab onto your shoulder and they knee the pad, okay? If you have a kicking shield, right? Hold the shield out. They kick the bottom of the shield with their shin, and then you bring it in close to your chest and bend over. Have them grab onto your shoulder with both hands and knee the bag up against you. All right? So I want you to do that combination. If you don't have a helper or proper equipment to do that, you can do this in the air. It's going to look like this. No! 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 Okay? So it's 1 kick, 2 knees. I want you to do that 10 times. If you want to alternate which side you use, that's fine. But I want you to do 10 combinations of kick, no, and knee, knee, push off, hands up. 10 times, pivot rising front kick, grab on for 2 knees. Ready, set, go. All right, guys, so on our sheet today, we've got number 4 and number 5 left to talk about. Number 4, setting a great example for others who look up to me. Well, who are the kind of people that are going to be looking up to you? This isn't necessarily a physical thing where only people who are shorter than you can look up to you, right? That's not what it means. It means people who admire you, people who are watching what you're doing and following your example. So maybe you have younger siblings at school, or not at school, at home. You have younger siblings at home where they are watching you and following your example. And if you're being disrespectful to your parents and having a bad attitude, well, you can bet they're watching you to see how that goes, and then they're going to do the same thing. That's a big responsibility as an older sibling, but it's really important, right? We're all responsible for our behavior and attitudes and the way that we speak to people, especially our parents and the people we love. And we have a tendency to be the most disrespectful and unkind to the people we love the most, unfortunately. And that's not okay. So if you have younger siblings at home, I really want you to make sure that you are setting a good example for them in the way that you speak to your parents, the way you listen, and the kind of attitude you have, all right? Same goes if you go to school, right? If you're in first grade, who's looking up to you? The kindergartners. If you're in third grade, who's looking up to you? Second grade, first grade, and kindergarten, right? The older you get, the more people are looking up to you and watching your example, especially children, okay? And then once you're an adult, then everybody can learn from your example, all right? When you're here at the studio, if you have any kind of color on your belt or multiple stripes on your belt, that means anyone who's a white belt is watching you to be like, oh, so what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to act? And if you come to the studio and you're running around, horsing around on the mat before class, well, then those white belts are going to think, oh, so that's what we're supposed to do. But you guys know that's not right. You can practice your moves, do some exercises, or do some stretching in one place, right? The mat isn't for chasing and tag and that kind of stuff, right? So, and then they're also going to watch you during class to see if you're paying attention or if you're standing there just picking at your fingernails, biting your teeth, and picking your nose and not listening. If they don't, kids learn how to say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, by watching you and following the example of their classmates. And if the classmates aren't responding, they're not going to learn how to do it either, right? So setting a great example for others who look up to me. That means people are watching you and they're going to follow your example at home, at school, and here in the studio. All right? So make sure you're working on that. And then number 5, always keeping a positive attitude, right? There's only 2 things that we have control over, right? We can't control what happens to us. We can't control what's required of us. We can't control who our family is or what school we go to or who our teacher is, right? So there are just some things that it is the way it is and we're stuck with it. But what you can control is your effort, means how hard you try, how hard you work at it, how much you care, right? Your effort. And the other thing you have control over is your attitude. No one can make you have a good attitude. You know, people and parents can threaten discipline and consequences for having a bad attitude, and sometimes you get in trouble for having a bad attitude, but ultimately that attitude is up to you. And so if you don't like those consequences, if you don't like it when people are telling you to quit whining and things like that, well, then it's up to you to decide to change it. And decide to make the best. To be like, okay, I don't really like what's going on, but I'm still going to be respectful, do my best, and try to have a good time. That's completely up to you. No one else can make you do that. Only you can control that, all right? And when you have a good attitude, even through hard and difficult times, it's going to be a lot easier to get through. And that'll help you be able to help others as well. And it sets a really good example for others to look up to. All right, so work on having that good attitude. We'll see you next week and talk about our Bible verse.